Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to anybody watching this from Nepal. मेरा नाम Abhinav. So today I have a very special guest with me. He is Mr. Mitchell Saum. He's the sales director for BDV Solutions. So they are a group of people. It's a good firm where you can learn more. He's going to talk more about that. So Mitchell, let's start with you.
Thanks for having me, AJ. Appreciate you being willing to kind of spread the message here on your YouTube channel. I know that you're an F1 student from Nepal. We have a ton of clients that are F1 students from Nepal, and Nepali people also living overseas or living in Nepal.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm excited to talk to you more today about the EB-3 process and kind of what it is, how it works, and then if you have any questions, I would love to answer those as well. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me as well. All right, let's begin with our first question. What is BDV Solutions, and what do you guys specialize in?
Yeah, so BDV Solutions is an employment placement agency and an immigration agency in one. So what we do is we connect foreign nationals that want to permanently immigrate to the United States, that want to get a green card, and we connect them with a US company that is willing to sponsor them and willing to go through the EB-3 Unskilled process for them. And that EB-3 process is an employment-based visa. So it's an immigrant visa that leads directly to a green card. And the green card is a 10-year permanent green card. You can renew that green card every 10 years, or you can become a citizen of the United States after 5 years of having your green card. Another one of the benefits of this program is that not only does the main applicant get a green card, but if you're married or if you have children under the age of 21, they will also apply as your dependent, and they'll also get a green card as well. So we help people and we connect people with US companies that will go through this process with them. And I know you have some more questions that we'll probably get into next about like the details of all of that. But generally speaking, that's kind of who we are and what we do.
Okay, awesome. So let's say since you brought up the first question, what does the process usually look like? Like what's the timeline, like how does a person start from A to Z?
Yeah, so this is the EB-3 Unskilled program. So we have lots of different jobs available for people to choose from. And these are going to be various types of jobs in various locations around the United States. All of these jobs are going to be similar in a sense that they are all going to be entry-level, unskilled work. What that means is these types of jobs don't require any sort of prerequisites. So it doesn't require any sort of previous job experience. It doesn't require any sort of educational experience. You don't even have to have finished high school to apply for these types of jobs. With that being said, all of our clients, for the most part, are educated. A lot of them have advanced higher level degrees. And so people choose this option to get a green card. And so you have to be willing to work in one of these unskilled positions for at least 1 year with your sponsoring company. And you will qualify and get that green card. So the way the process works, and it's complicated to explain it all like really briefly because there's lots of different factors that play into how the process goes for each individual.
Right.
But generally speaking, it's a 3-step process. The first step is called the labor certification. The second step is the I-140 immigrant petition. And the third step is the green card interview or the visa interview. So if someone was interested to do this program with us, they would create an account on our website, go through an application process, which would qualify them for our services. So we don't accept everybody. We want to make sure that anyone signing up will actually qualify for this program.
Right.
Our team will review their application and make sure that they do. Once they are pre-qualified, they'll be able to choose a job based on a big list of jobs that we have on our website. And they'll select a job, sign a contract with us, and then move forward and become a client if that's what they choose to do. And then from there, their actual immigration process begins, which is that labor certification first, then the I-140, and then the green card interview. The labor certification is a document that has to get approved by the Department of Labor. It's filed on behalf of them by their sponsoring company. And that process right now takes about 1 year to get through that first step of the process. The second step is the I-140 immigrant petition. And this is where you really, the whole first step of the process is really only dealing with the Department of Labor. So once you get that labor certification approved, you move forward to the second step of the process with USCIS, United States Customs and Immigration. And that's where you actually start that like real immigration process with USCIS. So the I-140 is yet another document, but it is filed with USCIS, and it's kind of declaring that you as a foreign national are, that is your declaration of intent that you plan to permanently migrate to the United States. And that's also filed by your sponsoring employer in conjunction with a third-party attorney that actually files all that legal paperwork. Once that I-140 gets approved, the last step is the green card interview. The green card interview could be overseas at a local U.S. consulate or in the United States if you're here as an F1 student, for example. So it could be in Kathmandu at the U.S. consulate there, or it could be here at a local USCIS office. One other kind of piece of this that's important to note is if you are here in the United States and you're adjusting your visa status to EB-3, in between your I-140 and your green card interview, you will receive a work permit that allows you to actually start working for your sponsor before you have your green card or your green card interview. And so that is going to be one of the biggest differences between adjustment of status from within the United States versus consular processing for people doing this overseas, is that work permit and that ability to work for the employer before you get your green card. And so it's the same process, consular versus adjustment. There's just slight variations in the way that the process actually flows.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, that was very detailed. So let's say like somebody from Nepal, like, you know, because most of the people who watch my channel, they are from Nepal. So let's say like if one of those guys would be willing to sign up for this process, so what would be the minimum educational qualification they would be needing to have? Would that be like a high school pass out or a bachelor's degree? You know, like what's the prerequisite sort of thing for them?
Yeah, so that's really the beauty of this program. And it's actually really the reason why this program works for pretty much everybody, is that there's absolutely no prerequisite. So it doesn't matter if you have an advanced degree, you can still apply for this. But even if you've never finished high school, you still qualify for it. So this visa category in particular, compared to all others, is unique in the sense that anyone can apply. You could have a PhD, you could be incredibly talented and smart and experienced, or you could have no experience, have no education. One thing that we do require from our clients is that they're able to speak English. I think that's not as big of a deal for a lot of our clients from Nepal, because most Nepali people will speak English pretty well. But we do require that our clients speak English, just because when they're actually going to work, they need to be able to communicate just in order to keep their work environment safe and for them to be able to actually do their job.
Absolutely. Yep. So, because like BDV Solutions more likely specializes for people, you know, in overseas as well as the ones who are already in the US. So let's say like most of my viewers are already F1. So why do you think like we should rather tell F1 students to, you know, go towards this process? Like why do you, you know, prioritize F1 students over other people? Like, is it because like, you know, after you graduate, there's like things like OPT, H1B that's just gonna like, you know, lend them the time for them to get a green card in the traditional way? Why would you think like we should be able to do that through the EB-3 process through BDV Solutions?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So I think it's really kind of like a personal preference type of thing in terms of, people ask me all the time, what is the best way to do this? Is it better to do this from Nepal, or is it better to do this from the US? And it's really kind of like a personal preference at the end of the day. The advantage of doing this as an F1 student is that you get to adjust your status within the US. So you get that work permit, you remain in the US for the entire duration of the process. I think like the disadvantage there with the adjustment of status is that you have to maintain your underlying visa status. So you have this pressure when you're adjusting your status of keeping your underlying status active until a certain point in the process. That gets a little complicated for people, and ultimately time is money when you're in the United States on an F1 visa. And so people end up paying tuition to maintain their status. And so sometimes in the adjustment of status like circumstance, you might end up paying a little bit more. And so one thing you'll notice about our costs, we have a different cost for adjustment of status versus consular processing. Consular processing is a little bit more expensive. Adjustment of status is a little bit cheaper. We try to take into account that our adjustment of status applicants are going to be paying money already just to be living here on a non-immigrant visa. On most of those visa statuses, you don't have the ability to work. And so that's kind of the advantage from the other side here. If you're doing consular processing from Nepal, for example, you can work, you can live your normal life, and you don't have that pressure of like keeping a non-immigrant visa status. You're just living your life. And so people have different opinions and perspectives of what they think is going to be better for them. A lot of people that are here on F1 are like already so immersed in like the American life, they don't want to leave. So they want to stay here and they want to do the entire process from here. They have no desire to go back and wait for like an indefinite amount of time. So two options, one isn't necessarily better than the other. And in fact, these days, really like the timeline and the timing of both of them, it's more or less the same right now. So it's not, there isn't one that's particularly faster than another. But in past, adjustment of status was absolutely faster than consular processing. But like nowadays, it's not necessarily like that. So you don't have this advantage of time with one way or the other right now. But, you know, on that note, it's important to understand that this is a government process and these timelines are constantly changing. So I've been doing this for 6 years, and there have been so many instances where the timelines have sped up really fast and have slowed down significantly. COVID definitely had a big role in that, just with the processing times slowing down for like an entire year, and especially in the consulates. Kathmandu is a great example of that. Ever since COVID happened, the embassy in Kathmandu has been incredibly slow at issuing immigrant visa interviews, especially for employment-based visas. So they've been doing family petitions and stuff like that pretty much like normal, but for employment-based visas, it's really slowed down. And so I know one of the questions you had for me is, well, what kind of success do you have with Nepali clients? We have a lot of Nepali clients. The majority of them are here on F1 visas or H1B or any other non-immigrant visa. The rest of them are in Nepal. We also have some Nepali clients like in other countries. There's a lot of Nepali in Japan. We have a handful of like Nepali clients that are doing this program from Japan. And so we have success on both sides of the equation. A lot of Nepali clients have gotten their green card through the adjustment of status, especially over the past like 2 or 3 years. And then for consular processing, it's definitely been a little bit slower. One of the biggest issues with that is that consulate in Kathmandu has been really slow to issue those visa interviews. And so it's just taken a longer time. We've had several Nepali clients in Japan get their visas approved. That is kind of like a testament to this idea that one consulate is not the same as another one. So they're in 2 separate countries. They're operating kind of independently, especially in terms of like their backlogs and their processing times to get an immigrant visa interview. So like from that perspective, consular processing for someone from Nepal, maybe adjustment of status is probably the better choice given the situation in Kathmandu. With that being said, it is kind of like a game of timing, and like there's obviously a ton of waiting in this process. You're just sitting around waiting for the government to approve your application and move you forward to that next step. And I think that maybe in Nepal right now, there is like some sentiment like whoa, the consulate here is not issuing immigrant visa interviews. Why would I sign up for this right now?
Yep.
But I think ultimately what people have to understand is eventually that backlog is going to get cleared out.
Mm-hmm.
And one day will come where, boom, all of a sudden they start issuing immigrant visa interviews like really fast. And so I think when that time does come and we start seeing like a lot of Nepali people getting their visas through consular processing, we will see a lot more people signing up from Nepal. And understandably so, I think people are a little bit more hesitant right now. I'm here with like a different perspective, telling people like, hey, I know this is going on. Like, I want to address that situation head on, but I do really genuinely believe that people signing up now, 2-3 years down the road are not going to regret starting their process and getting in line, because that's essentially what it is. Right. It's like a big queue. You can choose to get in it now or get in it later, but there's a lot of people signing up now. And so I'm constantly encouraging people, like, if you're serious about this program, if you really want to get a green card, this is a great, great avenue to do that. And people like you, AJ, will come here to the United States on an F1, pay a lot of money to do that, and then try to go through that like traditional immigration process, like you're saying.
Right.
You do your F1, you get your bachelor's degree, you get your OPT for a year or 3 years or whatever, and then hopefully your OPT sponsor files an H-1B for you. And then from there, you're still on that non-immigrant visa. You hope that your sponsor, again, will file like an EB-2 or an EB-3 green card. Yep. So the beauty of this program is that you get to jump through all those hoops at one time.
Right.
You don't have to get the F1, to get the OPT, to get the H-1B, to then get the EB-3. You can do this from Nepal.
Yep.
You never even have to come to the United States on an F1 and just get a green card directly from Nepal. So it's a really unique program in that sense. And I think that it's obviously become very, very popular from people in Nepal because people have seen so much success. Maybe people have a friend or a family member that's done it with BDV and has gotten their green card. And so it's a really interesting time, definitely, to know about this process, to do this process. Obviously, it's a huge undertaking of like time, money, just commitment. It's not like an easy decision for anybody to sign up and do this. Yeah. But I think ultimately for people that really, really want to immigrate to the United States permanently, then it's an incredible option. And the people that also believe that, I think will just do it at the end of the day.
All right, you basically covered like most of the questions that I was supposed to ask you, but okay, I have one more question for you. So let's say like, I'm an F1 student, obviously. So if I were to start the process, so throughout the entire process, would I still be able to go back and forth to Nepal, or let's say like to any other country? Would I be able to, exit the US and then enter back again without any issue at the border? Because a lot of times what happens is, when you switch universities, when you have, when you have a lot of transfer in your, account, you just Heavis ID and everything. A lot of times what happens is the CBP officers are like, getting on your nerves at the immigration. They're like, why have you changed so many universities? Like, what's going on? What are you doing in the US? And I think like that just makes so many of us nervous. I mean, I was one of them. Last time when I came from Nepal, I came like maybe 2 months ago. I was asked a lot of questions by the immigration. I was like, why did you change this university, this and that? So on this process, on the EB-3 process, like, will there be any issue, like, when you exit the US and then when you re-enter the US back again?
I have never seen any client actually like have an issue or not be able to re-enter the United States. Some people from time to time will have that experience like you, where they're like getting questioned like really hard. I think that that's like pretty standard, and a lot of people know like that is a possibility to happen. But in terms of the EB-3 process, there are points in the process that do affect your ability to travel. So during that first step of the process, the labor certification, you can pretty much travel freely as your F1 visa allows you to do. So if you can leave and re-enter on your F1, even if you start this process and you're in that labor cert stage, you can still do that just exactly the same. Now, once you move forward to the second step of the process, your I-140, that's where you're like onboarding with USCIS. And at that time, our clients will have an attorney, so they will be able to kind of guide them and give them legal advice about what they think is best. I would say typically, like after that labor certification is approved, it's probably not like the best decision to travel at that point, because then you're moving forward with the I-140 and the adjustment of status, which is gonna force you to remain here physically present in the United States until later on, around the same time that you get your work permit, you'll get what's called the I-131 travel parole.
Right.
And that travel parole will allow you to leave and re-enter the United States as well. And lots of our clients that get the work permit and get the travel parole will in fact go back, return to their home country, visit their family, because a lot of people have kind of been stuck here, and so they want to use that opportunity to travel. So there is kind of a brief period in the middle where like you probably don't want to travel, but then like at the beginning, and then once you get that travel parole, you're free to travel, in and out of the United States.
Okay, awesome. Yep. All right. So let's move on to a different question. So let's say like if you guys figure out who to select and who not to select in this process, what sort of like typical job would the person be expecting? Like what is the like the really trending job that's been on with BDV nowadays?
Yeah, I would say number one is fast food. So we have a lot of different fast food jobs. Just to name a couple of the franchises we work with, McDonald's is definitely our biggest. We work with McDonald's franchises all over the United States. Wendy's, Taco Bell, Chick-fil-A. Trying to think of some others. We've done like Popeyes, Bojangles. Those aren't like everywhere, but those are more like regional.
Yeah.
But lots of different fast food. I would say that's probably like the number one. That fast food job is just going to be that entry level worker that's behind the counter. You could be working the cash register. You could be doing the drive through. You could be working on the fryer. You could be making burgers, whatever it is.
Right.
So fast food is definitely the number one. But we also have other types of jobs like cleaning jobs, like janitorial type jobs where you're like cleaning in office buildings. We've had like some housekeeping jobs, cleaning hotel rooms. I would say manufacturing is probably the third. So we've worked with a lot of different kinds of manufacturers. One of our manufacturers made face masks in Georgia. We have a lot of food manufacturers. So that's going to be like one of our biggest food manufacturers is called Ajinomoto Foods. It's a Japanese company, and they make like frozen dumplings, frozen fried rice. And this is all like products that you can find in like Costco. Yeah. So they have big facilities, and we have BDB clients working in there that are working on these production lines that are, packaging and preparing all these food products. And then the last one that I would say is like warehousing and packaging. And so that's going to be more like the warehousing. The one that I'm thinking in particular is we work with a couple companies that do like food supply and food storage. And so you're working like in these big refrigerated warehouses where trucks are coming in and out, and food is being stored and distributed out of these facilities. So, and we've done some other packing stuff as well. That's kind of like more like e-commerce type of packing boxes and stuff like that.
Okay.
And actually, more recently, we had a job that is landscaping. So, like working in the landscaping crew, doing like cutting grass and stuff like this. So that's something like we don't have a ton of those types of jobs, but that's just another example. So lots of different opportunities to choose from and lots of different locations. A lot of people feel comfortable with the fast food jobs because like everyone's been to McDonald's. Everyone kind of has an understanding of like what that job might be. I think people are a little bit more hesitant to choose these jobs that like they don't really know what they're going to be doing. But people choose the jobs for a variety of different reasons. I would say the number one factor in people choosing their jobs is going to be the job location. Most people want to stay like where they are. And then the wage of that job, our jobs will range. We've had some jobs that are like $25 an hour. Other jobs are like $10 an hour. So people will kind of pick and choose based on their preferences of what they feel is best for them.
Okay, awesome. So they have like the flexibility of choosing the job on their own, right? So they can just like switch between any jobs, or do they have to be in one specific job for like the entire 1 year period?
So when you select a job and you sign up, that is the sponsor and that's the job that you will move forward with. Now, nothing stops you from being promoted. So we have a lot of our clients that they go to work, they show up, they're really good employees, and their managers and supervisors recognize that, and we end up getting promoted. And so that's a really great option for people because you can get an increase in your pay, and be doing like more managerial type of work. In the fast food restaurants, we have a ton of our clients that end up becoming shift managers as opposed to just that entry level like crew member. And so you might be doing the same thing for that, entire time that you're working for them, but you do have opportunities to be promoted and grow within the company. So yeah.
Okay, so I think this is going to be probably my last question, or let's say the second last. So what other countries besides Nepal do you have a lot of clients from?
We have a ton of clients from Bangladesh, which is close there to Nepal. And then we have a lot of clients from Brazil. So I would say Nepal, Bangladesh, and Brazil are going to be like our top 3 countries in terms of our client base. But we have clients literally from almost every country. I think we represent like over 110 countries. In fact, almost anyone can apply for this. The only countries that don't qualify for this are going to be people born in India and people born in China. Unfortunately, for those people, there's a really big backlog for not only this visa category, but almost all the employment-based visa categories. And so those people are really put in a not great position. But if you're from any other country or born in any other country, you can apply for this. In fact, we have some Indian nationals born in Nepal. And so employment-based visas are based on your country of birth. So we do have Indian clients that just happen to be born elsewhere. So it's a great program, and it's pretty much open to most people.
Okay, and I think for the last question, that would be with the cost and everything. I think the website has a detailed structure of everything, but if you can maybe give us a brief overview of that, I think my viewers would totally love that.
Yeah, it gets a little complicated because we do have, so there's adjustment of status, consular processing, and then with each of those, there's 2 payment options. So we have a payment option A and a payment option B. For adjustment of status, right now the cost is, for payment option A is $20,500. That's the full cost for one main applicant. If you have dependents like a spouse or children that join your applicant, there are some additional fees that you'll pay directly to your attorney. So that's payment option A. It's around $20,000 for adjustment of status. We do have payment option B, which is more of a payment plan that allows you to finance out your payments over a monthly payment plan. And the total cost of that one is a little bit more. It's around $24,000 for adjustment of status. And then likewise with consular processing, it's kind of the same thing. So it's around $27,000 for payment option A for consular processing. And then for payment option B, it's around $32,000. And it's going to break out into monthly payments. Obviously, it's expensive. So what is included in that cost is going to be all of the BDV Solutions consulting fees. So our team here is going to be there holding your hand and guiding you from A to Z. So from when you sign up until the point that you get your green card and you're done with the program, we have different departments that help you at each stage in that process. So the BDV fee is going to be included in that. All of the government fees, the I-140 is actually filed with premium processing for all of our clients. So that's a $2,500 government fee in itself that's included in our costs, as well as other government fees as well. The legal fees are included, so you don't have to go find your own attorney. We work with a partner law firm that processes all of our clients' cases, and so that legal fee is also going to be included in the cost. We also have a sister company called Argo Visa. They are a group of former consular and USCIS officers, and they will prepare you for your visa interview. So it's a 30-minute video consultation with them to prep you for your interview. That's also included in our costs.
Awesome.
So it's a value package. It's all inclusive. You don't really have to worry about like additional costs, which is something that people like, but it obviously is expensive. I try to help people put the cost into perspective. like going to college in the United States, you're probably going to pay at least $20,000 just to come to the United States and come on an F1 visa. And so like I try to get people to like put the cost into perspective. You could get a new car maybe, or even some used cars for like $20,000. So some people come to me and they're like, you know, that is so expensive. Like y'all are absolutely charging way too much. And while I agree that it is very expensive, what you get from this service ultimately is a lifetime of living in the United States permanently, and also changing the trajectory of your family for generations to come. So like you had mentioned to me, like a lot of people sign up for this from Nepal because they feel unstable with the current political situation in Nepal.
Right.
And so this gives you the opportunity to change the trajectory of your family forever by allowing them to relocate to the United States. One thing about this job that like I really don't like, I don't feel great about pulling people away from like their home country, because that is like your home. Yeah. That's where you're from. That's where your ancestors are from. And so I think that ultimately, like, people have to make that decision for themselves. Like, is this really what I want to do? Do I really want to live in America? And if ultimately that is your goal and that's your objective, like, you have options to go and do that. And so yeah, I mean, it's, again, like, just a really unique opportunity that I think more and more people are discovering. And as it becomes more mainstream, I think that it's gonna become a little bit more competitive, because this visa category right now is limited to only 10,000 visas a year. Mm-hmm. So especially for like people from countries like Nepal, where you have a lot of people signing up, it's important to try not to hesitate, you know, and just try to just jump in and do it, because it's a huge commitment. But at the same time, like, it's going to pay off in the long run for you. So yeah, that's really like my spiel here. One thing that I want to add for all your followers is that I went to Nepal in 2019. I went to Kathmandu. I did a seminar in Kathmandu, and I met a lot of great people there. I got to experience like the culture. I ate lots of like momo and different like Nepali foods when I was there. Right. I went to like the Dwarika. I think,
okay, all right.
Which was really cool. I went to dinner there at the Dwarika. It was really, really nice. And yeah, I love Nepal. I'm a little bit biased, but like our Nepali clients are some of my favorite people, because everyone is like very relaxed, very like nice. I love like the spirit of the Nepali people, like very, very nice, welcoming, and friendly people. So
thank you. It means a lot.
Yeah, I love Nepal, and I hope that I can have another opportunity to go back there again. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think we touched up on everything, literally everything. So what I can do is, if you guys want to learn more about this process, I can leave the link and their emails in the description. Feel free to reach out to them. Mitchell, do you have anything to add, or do we just?
I have a question for you. What do you like? What is your perception of this program? Like, what is your opinion on it? What do you think about it?
Okay, here's the thing. So since I talk about studying in America for Nepalese students, so I would advocate everybody to study first. All right, so you study, and then once you graduate, like right before you graduate, you look up for your options. So what are your options? Either you go through the traditional way of filing the H1B, the OPT, and stuff like that. That's probably going to lengthen the process a little bit more, because there's a lot of competition going on. But let's say for the EB-3, I would say you pay a premium price, but you think about your future, you think about your parents, you think about your future generation, like how are you going to shape their future. So it's totally up to you. So if I knew about this process way back while I was a freshman, or maybe a sophomore, I would do that. I'm still not too late to this. I might go for this. I will probably go for that. I'm not really sure. Yeah. But I would say for most of you guys who are watching this, yeah, like you said, people spend like 20 grand on a car. They spend like 50 grand for their tuition and stuff. they spend money, for luxuries here and there, but this is a lifetime thingy. So I think like if you spend a good money on this, if you really want to, like live up to your life, live about studying in the US and like, settle here for good, I think this is a great way for you guys to, make a good future for yourselves. So I would definitely recommend people to do this.
Totally. And I think like one thing about you, AJ, like you told me you study cybersecurity, you're a junior right now. So like, it's not that I don't think that you should pursue that. In fact, I would encourage people to try to find a sponsor that's related to their field of study that's willing to go through a process like this for them.
Right.
And if that doesn't work out for you, and unfortunately, the reality of the situation is it doesn't work out for a lot of people because it's so competitive.
Right.
This is always a great fallback plan for anyone who really wants to get that green card, but is just struggling to find that pathway to get it.
Right.
So a lot of people, are similar to you, studying something that has nothing related to fast food, nothing related to like packaging products and stuff like that in a warehouse. But this is a pathway for you to get that green card. And when you get the green card, it's not that you're going to be doing this unskilled job forever. Eventually, you'll be able to move forward in your life and go get a job anywhere you want without needing sponsorship.
Absolutely.
So once you get that green card, you can go get a job in cybersecurity just like I could as an American.
Right.
So I think ultimately, like that is where the real value lies, is like getting your green card and then eventually doing what you want to do, starting a business in the United States. So it just opens up like your opportunities to so much more once you get that green card and you're not like dependent on your employer. I think so many people get caught like in this H-1B trap where like they're just like beholden to their H-1B sponsor, like, and it's not great. Honestly, it's really not like a good situation.
Absolutely.
So this is like a way to break free from the chains and like take control of your own life and not put it in the hands of like all these different companies. You are in some point putting it in the hands of like your EB-3 sponsor, but then like once you get the green card, you're a permanent resident, and eventually you can become a citizen not very long after that.
Right.
So really, really great stuff, and it's been really great to talk to you.
Absolutely. I love it. This has to be our first collab with somebody, but I mean, I myself learned a lot of stuff from this because I had to do a lot of research. I talked to Davis, and then we went from there. But awesome, great stuff. You guys are doing really good. A lot of reviews, and actually a lot of my friends from Texas, they're already doing their EB-3 process through you guys. My sister called me. She was like, "Yeah, I'm doing this through BDV," and I was like, "Okay, that's great. They are a really good group of people."
We have a ton of Nepali clients in like Irving, Texas, and like Dallas, Fort Worth area. I mean, there's like so many Nepali people there. Yeah. So if you are interested to learn more about this, you can sign up on our website. He's going to drop the link here. It's bdvsolutions.com. And you can create a free account on our website to fill out that application and look at all the jobs that are available, which is totally like risk-free, cost-free. You don't pay anything to do that. So if you're interested just to learn more, and maybe you're not ready to move forward right now, or maybe you are, you can sign up on our website and learn, a lot more details. And then like, I just kind of gave like this consultation to you, I feel like, about this program, answering your questions and stuff. And so anybody is able to schedule a call with our sales team, and they will have a personalized one-on-one conversation with you where you can ask them questions that are specific to your circumstances. And so I highly encourage people to take advantage of that. If you're on the fence about this, or maybe you're like wanting to ask more questions or learn more, or like just make it more personalized towards your position in life, sign up on our website, have a free call with one of our sales coordinators. They're really good at talking to people about how this program could fit into their own life. And so I highly encourage people to take advantage of that.
I'll leave the link and everything in the description. Feel free to reach out to BDV Solutions. They are a great group of people, I must say.
AJ, thank you so much, man.
Absolutely, Mitchell. Thanks for your time. Thanks for your time. Means really, I'm really delighted. Like I got to collab with you guys for this part, but I really hope like we get to work further in this process in the future.
Sounds good, man. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and we'll do another one of these later.
Absolutely. Thanks for saying. Thank you. Bye bye.
See you guys.